Hello and welcome to another video here at Teliax, and today we're going to show you how to configure 3CX phone system with Teliax's IV platform. Now you may be more familiar with the hosted PBX functions, but you can also create a SIP trunk to a PBX right from within IV. So while we already have some of these things set up in my test account, all we really need to do is create a PBX, a phone number, connect those together, and we're ready to go. The first piece of information you're going to need is the site name. So when you're logged in and you select your site, this is the site name that you're going to use. This is going to be the SIP provider name that we're going to use when we create the account within 3CX. Then we need a PBX and a phone number. You do those from the plus menu at the top. You can create a phone number and a PBX. I've already have those configured, so I'm just going to show you what I have. So I have my 3CX test PBX. We have a name, a channel limit. This channel limit needs to match the simultaneous call license that you have with 3CX. So if you have the small version, it's 4. Maybe you have an 8, a 16, a 32, or 64. Whatever the concurrent call limit you have within 3CX, that's what you want to put in here for your channel limit. Then you're going to create a login and a password. Those are the credentials that 3CX is going to use. Set a timeout, an optional failover, which can be a voicemail box or a forward or something else. You can override the caller ID name and the caller ID number. And then you need an access control list. Now those are the IP addresses that the phone system can use to connect to IV. So generally it's just going to be one single IP with a /32, which means a single IP address. Once we have that PBX set up, we now need to have a phone number. Again, you can order it from the top if you don't have one. If you already have one, then we can just go to our phone number here, make sure we're on the correct phone number, give it a name, and point it to that 3CX PBX configuration. With these things in place, IV is now ready to go, and it's time to configure the 3CX phone system. Once we're logged in to 3CX, we're going to go to VoIP providers. We're going to select Add a Provider. We're going to select on country. We're just going to go down to the bottom, go to generic, and there's two options, generic SIP trunk or generic VoIP provider. You want to select generic VoIP provider. Now I'm going to call this Teliax. Select next. Remember that site name, so we're going to use that here as the SIP server host name. Go to next. The phone number, that was that phone number that we created. Our login and password. Now if you forget that, just bounce back over to IV. Go to your PBX and just copy and paste these. Again, the maximum simultaneous calls is probably going to match the license that you have. Now in my case, I'm using a 4 simultaneous call license, so that's all I'm going to allow into the system. Otherwise, I'm going to get errors. Now, where do we want inbound calls to go to? So I'm just going to select a ring group that goes to everybody. Then we can create an outbound rule for outbound calls. So I'm going to select any calls with a length of 7, 10, or 11. So this will allow 7-digit dialing, 10-digit dialing, or 11 digits. Now, normally on the 7-digit, you're going to want to prepend the local area code. But just for testing purposes, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go ahead and say finish. And if I go to my ports and trunk status, I can see that that Teliax trunk is registered. Now we're not quite finished. We want to make a couple changes. For my VoIP providers, I'm either going to just double click on it or select it and select Edit Provider. And we're going to go through some of these tabs here just to make sure we're all set up properly. We're going to go to the Advanced tab, and we're going to set Require Registration for Incoming Calls. That's all we're going to need. Select OK, and now the system is ready to make and receive phone calls. So that's all there is to setting up 3CX with Teliax's IV platform. Now we are working with 3CX to make this process even easier by adding Teliax to that drop-down menu of VoIP providers, but we're probably still a little ways away from that. We have tested it, we have gone through the interop certification, so we know everything works, but if you need to configure it now, these are the steps to follow to get it all configured. So thanks for watching, we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.